Commander Zelthar stood on the bridge of his exploration ship, watching the dark space ahead. His blue skin glowed softly in the dim light as he studied the readings on his screen. The Kepler 442 system had been dead for thousands of years. But today, something was different. "Commander, we are picking up strange signals," said his science officer, Dr. Vellani. Her long fingers moved quickly over the control panel. "The energy readings do not match anything in our database." Zelthar moved closer to look at the data. The Zephyrian fleet had been exploring dead systems for months, looking for resources and ancient technology. Most of the time they found nothing but empty space and cold planets. This system should have been the same. "Show me the source," he ordered. The main screen lit up with an image of the system. Near the dying red star, a large object floated in the darkness. It was massive, bigger than 3 Zephyrian ships put together. The hull was dark and covered with scars, but faint lights still glowed along its surface. "By the Ancient Ones," whispered Dr. Vellani. "That is a ship, a very old ship." The other crew members on the bridge stopped their work to stare at the screen. In all their years of exploration, they had never found anything like this. The ship looked like it had been in countless battles. Parts of it were clearly damaged, but somehow it was still working. "Can you tell what species built it?" asked XEL single quotes Tardoc. Dr. Vellani worked at her station for several minutes. "The design is unknown, Commander. The metal composition is strange. It appears to be very ancient, perhaps 10,000 years old or more." Zelthar felt his heart beat faster. A ship that old could hold incredible secrets. Most civilizations from that time period were extinct. Whatever race had built, this vessel might have technology far beyond what the Zephyrians possessed. "Take us closer, but keep our distance," he commanded. "I want full scans of that ship." The Zephyrian vessel moved slowly through space toward the ancient craft. As they got closer, more details became visible. The ship was covered in weapon ports, many of them still glowing with power. Strange symbols were carved into the hull, but they were too damaged to read clearly. "Commander," called out the tactical officer Corvex, "the ship's weapons are active. They are tracking debris that floats near it." As if to prove his point, a piece of space rock drifted too close to the ancient vessel. Suddenly, bright beams of energy shot out from the ship's guns. The rock exploded into tiny pieces in seconds. "It is still fighting," said Dr. Vellani with amazement. "After all these years, the ship thinks it is in battle." Zelthar studied the readings more carefully. The ship's power levels were low, but steady. Its weapon systems worked perfectly. Most surprising of all, life signs showed deep inside the vessel. "There are still living beings on that ship," he announced to his crew. The bridge fell silent. Everyone stared at the screen in shock. How could anyone survive for thousands of years on a damaged ship in empty space? Dr. Vellani ran more scans. "The life signs are weak, but definitely there. One count perhaps 12 to 15 individuals. They appear to be in some kind of suspended state. What about the ship's database?" asked Zelthar. "Can we access their records?" "I am trying, Commander, but their computer systems are very different from ours." "Wait, ... She paused as new information appeared on her screen. "I am getting something. Ship designation. USS Endurance. The language appears to be. This cannot be right. What is it?" "Commander, if my translation is correct, this ship was built by humans." The bridge crew exchanged confused looks. Humans were a legend, a story told to young Zephyrians about a race that had existed long ago. Most scientists believed they were just a myth. "Humans are not real," said Corvex. "They are stories from old books." Dr. Vellani shook her head. "The data is clear. This ship was built by the human species. They were real, and this is proof they once traveled the stars. Zelthar felt his mind racing. If humans were real and had built this incredible warship, what had happened to them? Why was this ship alone in dead space, still fighting an invisible enemy? "Keep scanning," he ordered. "I want to know everything about this vessel." Over the next few hours, they learned more amazing facts. The ship had been in continuous operation for over 10,000 years. Its weapons had fired millions of times. The hull showed damage from hundreds of different battles. Most incredible of all, the ship's computer systems had been upgraded and rebuilt countless times, always with the same basic human technology. "Commander," said Dr. Valani quietly, "I think this ship has been running and fighting for 10,000 years without stopping. The crew has somehow stayed alive all this time." Zelthar looked at the ancient human vessel with new respect. What kind of species could survive alone in space for so long? What were they fighting? And why had they never stopped? "Sir," interrupted the communications officer, "we are receiving a weak signal from the human ship. It appears to be some kind of automated message. Put it on the main speakers." Static filled the bridge. Then a voice spoke in an ancient human language. Dr. Valani's computer translated the words into Zephyrian. "Warning. This is Captain Jake Harrison of the USS Endurance. Stay back or you will be destroyed. We are protecting vital cargo. Any approach will be considered hostile." The message repeated over and over, a warning that had been broadcasting for thousands of years. Zelthar made his decision. "Prepare a boarding party. We are going to visit our new human friends." Corvex checked his weapons one more time before stepping into the transport pod. The tactical officer had led many boarding missions, but never to a ship that had been fighting for 10,000 years. His team of 6 Zephyrian soldiers followed him into the small craft. "Remember," said Commander Zelthar over the radio, "these humans have been alone for a very long time. They may not trust us. Try to avoid violence if possible." "Understood, Commander," replied Corvex. "We will be careful." The transport pod moved slowly toward the USS Endurance. As they got closer, the ancient ship looked even more damaged than before. The hull was covered with scars from energy weapons, missile impacts, and what looked like ramming damage. Yet, somehow it still held together. "There," pointed Dr. Valani, who had joined the boarding team. "That opening appears to be a docking bay. The doors are still working." The massive doors opened with surprising smoothness, revealing a dark bay inside. Emergency lights flickered along the walls, casting strange shadows. The transport pod landed with a soft bump on the metal floor. Corvex was the first to step out. His boots echoed in the large space. The air was thin but breathable. Ancient human machines sat covered in dust, but many still showed active power readings. "Stay alert," he whispered to his team. "Dr. Valani, can you read these symbols?" The science officer studied the writing on the walls. "Some of it is clear. This is definitely human language. That sign says Docking Bay 7. This one warns about dangerous materials." They moved deeper into the ship through corridors that seemed to go on forever. The walls showed clear signs of battle damage. Blast marks covered the metal surfaces. In many places, the original walls had been replaced with different materials, as if the crew had been making repairs for thousands of years. "Look at this," said one of the soldiers, pointing to a section of wall. They used pieces from other ships to fix their own. Dr. Villani examined the patch job. "Amazing. They have been rebuilding this ship, piece by piece, for millennia. The skill required to keep it working this long is incredible." Strange sounds echoed through the corridors. Machinery hummed and clicked in patterns that seemed almost alive. Lights flickered on and off as they passed, as if the ship was watching them. Suddenly, red lights began flashing, An alarm sounded throughout the ship. A voice spoke in the ancient human language, but now they could understand it thanks to Dr. Vellani's translation device. Alert. Unknown species detected. All crew to battle stations. This is not a drill. That does not sound good, muttered Corvex. Heavy footsteps approached from ahead. 3 figures appeared in the corridor, wearing strange armor that looked like it had been repaired many times. They carried weapons that hummed with energy. The lead figure was a tall human male with gray hair and scars on his face. Despite his obvious age, he moved with the confidence of a born warrior. Behind him walked a female with short brown hair and tools attached to her belt. The third was a younger male, carrying a massive weapon that seemed too big for one person to use. "Stop right there," called the lead human in a voice that commanded respect. "I am Captain Jake Harrison of the USS Endurance. You are on a human military vessel. State your business or prepare to be destroyed." Corvex slowly raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "We are explorers from the Zephyrian Republic. We detected your ship and came to offer assistance." Captain Harrison's eyes narrowed. "Zephyrian? Never heard of you. Are you working with the Reapers?" "Reapers? We do not know what that means." The female engineer stepped forward. "Jake, look at them. They are not machines. The Reapers are all metal and energy. These beings are organic like us." "Could be a trick, Amy," replied the captain, but his weapon lowered slightly. "The Reapers have tried deception before." Dr. Vellani moved carefully forward. "Captain Harrison, we truly mean no harm. We thought your species was extinct. Finding you alive is the greatest discovery in our history." The third human, the weapons specialist, laughed bitterly. "Extinct? Yeah, we might as well be. 12 of us left out of 3,000. We have been fighting and dying in this metal coffin for 10,000 years. 10,000 years? Repeated Corvex in amazement. How is that possible? Amy Rodriguez, the engineer, gestured around them. Medical pods, life support systems, and sheer stubbornness. We take turns sleeping in cryo-freeze. Some of us stay awake to keep the ship running and fight off attacks. What attacks? Asked Dr. Vellani. Captain Harrison studied the Zephyrians for a long moment. Finally, he made a decision. Follow me. But try anything hostile, and Matt here will turn you into space dust. The weapons specialist, Matt Sullivan, grinned and patted his enormous gun. It would be my pleasure. They walked through more corridors, filled with improvised repairs and jury-rigged systems. Everything looked functional, but temporary, as if the crew expected to replace it all someday, but never had the time. The Void Reapers, explained Captain Harrison as they walked. Machines built by a dead species to wipe out all organic life in the galaxy. They destroyed Earth. They destroyed every human colony. They have been hunting us for 10 millennia. But why do you not just run away? Asked Corvex. Amy Rodriguez pointed to a heavily armored door ahead. Because we carry something too important to lose. The last hope of humanity, and maybe the whole galaxy. What is behind that door? Captain Harrison stopped walking. His expression was deadly serious. Everything that is left of the human race. Everything we are fighting to preserve. And if the Reapers ever get their hands on it, every living thing in the universe will die. The ancient ship shuddered slightly. Red lights flashed again. Matt Sullivan checked his weapon and smiled grimly. Speaking of Reapers, he said, I think some just woke up. The ship shook harder as Captain Harrison led them quickly through more corridors. Emergency lights flashed red throughout the vessel. The sound of weapons charging filled the air around them. How many Reapers? Called Amy Rodriguez as she ran. Beside them, Matt Sullivan checked a small device on his wrist. Looks like a small scout group. Maybe 20 ships. Atlas is already firing the main guns. Atlas? Asked Dr. Vallani as they hurried along. Our ship's brain, explained Amy. The computer system that runs everything. He has been learning how to fight for 10,000 years. Got pretty good at it, too. They entered a large room filled with screens and control panels. The walls showed views of space outside the ship. In the distance, dark shapes moved between the stars. Energy beams shot out from the USS Endurance, striking several of the enemy vessels. Beautiful work, Atlas, said Captain Harrison to the. Keep them at long range. A mechanical voice answered from speakers around the room. Acknowledged, Captain. Enemy forces are maintaining distance after losing 3 units. Recommend we use this time to explain our situation to our guests. Corvex stared at the screens. The enemy ships looked like nothing he had ever seen. They were long and thin, covered in spikes and weapon ports. They moved with perfect coordination, like a single mind controlling them all. Those are Void Reapers, said Captain Harrison. They have been hunting us across the galaxy for 10,000 years. Never stopping, never giving up. But why? Asked Dr. Vallani. What do they want? Amy Rodriguez sat down at a control panel and began typing. They want to kill everything that lives. Every planet with life, every thinking being, every animal and plant. Their creators built them to destroy all organic life in the universe. Images appeared on the main screen. They showed a beautiful blue planet covered in green continents and white clouds. Earth, said Captain Harrison quietly. Our home world. Population of 12 billion humans, plus countless other species. The Reapers destroyed it all in 3 days. The images changed to show burning cities and dead oceans. Then they showed human colonies on other worlds, all reduced to ash and metal. Finally, they showed massive space battles where human fleets fought desperately against endless waves of Reaper ships. The Great Purge, continued the captain. It lasted 50 years. We fought with everything we had. Every ship, every weapon, every person who could hold a gun. In the end, we lost. But you are here, pointed out Corvex. You survived. Matt Sullivan laughed without humor. We are not survivors. We are the last mission. While the main fleets bought us time, we grabbed the most important thing we could and ran. Amy pressed more buttons. A new image appeared showing the heavily armored door they had seen earlier. The Genesis Archive, she said. Every piece of genetic information from Earth. Plants, animals, humans, even bacteria. Everything needed to rebuild our entire world. Plus all our history, culture, art, and science. Dr. Vallani gasped. You? Carry the entire human species with you. Not just humans, corrected Captain Harrison. Every living thing from Earth. We are not just trying to save humanity. We are trying to save a whole world's worth of life. The ship shook again as more. Weapons fired. Atlas spoke calmly through the speakers. Enemy reinforcements approaching. Estimate 40 additional units. Recommend we begin evasive maneuvers. Do it, ordered the captain. How long until they arrive? Approximately 23 minutes. Amy Rodriguez stood up from her station. That gives us time to show them the real miracle. She led them to another section of the ship. Here, the walls were covered with thick cables and strange machines. Everything hummed with power. The smell of metal and electricity filled the air. This is our engineering section, explained Amy, or what is left of it. We have rebuilt this ship 17 times over the past 10,000 years. Corvex studied the machinery. Nothing looked like it belonged together. Parts from dozens of different technologies had been combined in ways that should not work. Impossible, whispered Dr. Vallani. How do you make such different systems work together? Amy smiled proudly. Necessity and stubbornness. When the original fusion reactor broke down after the first 1,000 years, we built a new one using parts from destroyed Reaper ships. When our weapons wore out, we improved them with whatever we could find. She pointed to a massive machine that filled half the room. That reactor should not exist. It combines human fusion technology with Reaper energy systems and parts we salvaged from 6 different alien civilizations. You have been scavenging across the galaxy for 10,000 years? Asked Corvex. Fighting and learning, corrected Matt Sullivan. Every battle teaches us something new. Every enemy ship we destroy gives us better parts. We started this war with basic human technology. Now we have weapons and systems that no single species ever developed. Atlas spoke again. Captain, the enemy fleet is now within detection range. 63 Reaper units confirmed. They appear to be forming an attack formation. Captain Harrison's expression grew grim. They found us again. Time to run. Wait, said Dr. Vellani. You have been running and fighting for 10,000 years. Do you never rest? Amy Rodriguez checked her instruments. Rest is what the cryopods are for. We take turns. 3 people awake at any time to run the ship and fight. The others sleep until their shift comes. But what is your goal? Asked Corvex. Where are you trying to go? Captain Harrison was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. We are looking for a safe place. Somewhere the Reapers cannot follow. A world where we can restart Earth's ecosystem and rebuild our civilization. But in 10,000 years, you have not found such a place? The Reapers are everywhere, said Matt Sullivan. They destroyed thousands of species before us. A galaxy is mostly empty now. Every time we find a safe system, they track us down and we have to run again. The ship suddenly turned hard to the left. Everyone grabbed onto something solid as the artificial gravity struggled to keep up. Atlas is starting evasive maneuvers, explained Amy. The Reapers will be here soon. How do you always escape? Asked Dr. Vellani. Captain Harrison smiled grimly. We cheat. We lie. We use every dirty trick humans ever invented, and some we made up along the way. Atlas has become the best tactical computer in the galaxy, because he has to be. Captain interrupted. Atlas, I recommend we inform our guests that their ship is also in danger. The Reapers will attack any vessel in this system. Corvex felt his blood run cold. Commander Zelthar and the entire Zephyrian fleet were now targets of an enemy that had been perfecting warfare for 10 millennia. We have to warn them, he said, already. Done, replied Atlas. I have been broadcasting tactical data to your fleet since you arrived. They will need it. On the screens, the dark shapes of Reaper ships began to fill the space around them. The USS Endurance, scarred and patched, but still deadly, prepared to fight once again. The space around them suddenly filled with more enemy ships than anyone had ever seen. Hundreds of Void Reaper vessels poured out of dark space like angry insects from a disturbed nest. Their black hulls reflected no light as they moved in perfect formation toward the USS Endurance. By the Ancient Ones, whispered Dr. Vellani as she stared at the screens. There are so many of them. Atlas spoke with his usual calm voice, but even the computer sounded concerned. Captain, I am detecting over 400 Reaper units. This is the largest fleet they have sent against us in 3,000 years. Captain Harrison's face went pale. 400? It must have been saving up for a special occasion. Matt Sullivan checked his weapons display. We have enough ammunition for maybe 30 minutes of heavy fighting. After that, we will be throwing rocks at them. Amy Rodriguez was already running calculations on her engineering station. The reactor can handle emergency power for 2 hours maximum. Then we will have to choose between weapons and life support. Commander Zelthar's voice came through the communication system. "Captain Harrison, this is Commander Zelthar. My fleet is moving to assist you, but we have never faced an enemy like this." On the tactical display, 30 Zephyrian ships moved to hoard the ancient human vessel. They were modern and well-armed, but they looked tiny compared to the massive Reaper fleet. "Commander, you need to get your people out of here," replied Captain Harrison. "This is our fight. We have been running from these machines for 10,000 years. You do not need to die with us." There was a long pause before Zelthar answered. "Captain, my species has explored the galaxy for 2,000 years. In all that time, we have never found anything as important as your ship and crew. We will not abandon you now." Corvex looked at the human captain with new respect. Even facing certain death, Harrison was trying to save strangers he had just met. "Commander," said Captain Harrison, "if you really want to help, I have an idea. But it will be dangerous for both our fleets. Tell me." Harrison turned to his crew. "Amy, can we link our tactical systems to the Zephyrian ships?" The engineer's fingers flew over her controls. "Atlas is already working on it. Zephyrian technology is actually very compatible with our systems. What are you planning?" asked KOR. Vex. Matt Sullivan grinned as he prepared his weapons. "We are going to teach your people how humans fight a real war." Atlas interrupted them. "Tactical link established with Zephyrian fleet. All ships are now connected to our combat network. Enemy forces will be in weapons range in 4 minutes." Captain Harrison activated the fleet communication system. "All Zephyrian ships, this is Captain Harrison. You are about to see why humans survived when every other species died. Follow our lead and do exactly what we tell you." The first wave of Reaper ships approached at incredible speed, their weapons charged with deadly energy, preparing to destroy everything in their path. "Now," ordered Harrison. The USS Endurance suddenly stopped running and turned to face the enemy. Every weapon on the ancient ship fired at once, creating a wall of energy that lit up space like a new star. The Reapers had expected the humans to keep running as they had for thousands of years. Instead, they flew directly into the most concentrated weapons fire they had ever faced. "Zephyrian ships, attack pattern Alpha," called Matt Sullivan. "Hit them while they are confused." The Zephyrian fleet followed the human ship's lead. There, modern weapons combined with the Endurance's ancient but deadly guns. Dozens of Reaper ships exploded in the first 30 seconds. "Impossible," said Dr. Vellani. "How did you know they would not expect that?" Amy Rodriguez monitored the battle from her station. "The Reapers are machines. They learn from every fight, but they also follow patterns. We have been studying their patterns for 10,000 years." Atlas spoke quickly as he coordinated the battle. "Enemy formation breaking up. They are switching to hunting pack tactics. Recommend evasive pattern Delta. All ships follow the Endurance," ordered Captain Harrison. "Stay close and trust us." The human ship began moving in ways that seemed impossible. It spun and twisted through space, always staying just ahead of enemy weapons. The Zephyrian ships copied its movements, learning to fight like humans. "How are you doing that?" asked Torvex as he watched the tactical display. "Your ship should not be able to move like that." 10,000 years of practice," replied Matt Sullivan as he fired at 3 Reapers at once, plus a few modifications Amy made to our engines. Amy smiled proudly. "I rebuilt the maneuvering system using Reaper gravity manipulation technology. We can do things that break the normal rules of physics." The battle continued for an hour. The human Zephyrian alliance destroyed over 100 Reaper ships, but more kept coming. Both fleets were taking heavy damage. "Captain," reported Atlas, "ammunition at 30%. Several Zephyrian ships have been badly damaged. Amy, how long until reactor overload?" asked Harrison. 20 minutes maximum. After that, we lose. Main power. Captain Harrison made a decision that surprised everyone. Atlas, open a channel to all ships. Channel open, Captain. All vessels, this is Harrison. We are going to try something that has never been done before. We are going to ram the Reaper command ship. Jake, that is suicide, protested Amy. Maybe, replied the captain. But if we take out their command vessel, the rest of their fleet will be confused for several minutes. Long enough for the Zephyrians to escape with the Genesis archive. Commander Zilthar's voice came through the speakers. Captain, there must be another way. There is no other way, said Harrison firmly. Dr. Vellani, can your people carry the Genesis archive to safety? Yes, but we will not leave you to die alone. Matt Sullivan laughed as he prepared for the final attack. Who said anything about dying alone? We have been fighting these machines for 10,000 years. Time to show them what humans are really capable of. The USS Endurance began accelerating toward the massive Reaper command ship. Around them, the Zephyrian fleet formed a protective formation. All ships, called Captain Harrison. When we hit that command vessel, you run. Take the archive and find a safe world. Restart humanity and remember us. Amy Rodriguez transferred the Genesis archive data to the Zephyrian flagship. Transfer complete. Everything we fought to protect is now in your hands. It has been an honor serving with you, said Commander XEL single quotes Tardot. The ancient human warship picked up speed, racing toward its final battle. Behind them, the Zephyrian fleet prepared to carry humanity's last hope to safety. For Earth, whispered Captain Harrison. For humanity, added Amy Rodriguez. For every living thing in the galaxy, finished Matt Sullivan. The USS Endurance, scarred by 10,000 years of war, flew toward the enemy command ship like a missile filled with human determination. The USS Endurance struck the Reaper command ship like a comet made of metal and human determination. The explosion lit up space for millions of miles as both vessels disappeared in a ball of fire and energy. The massive Reaper command ship, which had coordinated the enemy fleet for thousands of years, was gone. Commander Zelthar watched from his bridge as the ancient human warship fulfilled its final mission. Around them, the Reaper fleet suddenly stopped moving in perfect formation. Without their command vessel, the individual ships began flying in circles, confused and directionless. All ships retreat now, ordered Zelthar. Captain Harrison bought us this chance. We will not waste it. The Zephyrian fleet accelerated away from the battle, carrying the Genesis archive toward safety. Behind them, the leaderless Reaper ships continued their confused dance among the stars. Some began fighting each other. Others simply drifted in space, waiting for orders that would never come. Dr. Vellani stood quietly on the bridge, tears running down her blue face. They saved us all, she whispered. 3 humans who refused to give up after 10,000 years of war. Not just us, replied Zelthar. They saved every living thing in the galaxy. The Reapers cannot coordinate large attacks without their command ships. Captain Harrison knew this would cripple their entire war machine. 3 months later, the Zephyrian fleet found a perfect world in a distant system. The planet had clean water, breathable air, and rich soil. Most importantly, it was far from any known Reaper activity. Commander Zilthar stood on the surface of the new world, watching as construction robots built the first human city in 10,000 years. The Genesis archive had provided blueprints for everything needed to restart human civilization. The first children will be born next year, reported Dr. Vellani as she joined him. The genetic labs are ready to begin creating new humans from the archive data. And the other species from Earth? All of them? We are rebuilding the entire Earth ecosystem on this world. plants, animals, even the bacteria needed for healthy soil. In 50 years, this planet will be more like Earth than Earth ever was. A year later, the first new human in 10,000 years took her first breath. The baby girl had brown hair like Amy Rodriguez and curious eyes like Captain Harrison. The Zephyrian doctors who delivered her named her Hope. Matt Sullivan, the only survivor from the USS Endurance, held the baby carefully in his old hands. He had been rescued from an escape pod just before the ship's final attack. Now he was the last link between the old humanity and the new. She looks strong, he said to the Zephyrian nurse. Jake would be proud. More children followed. Within 5 years, 100 new humans lived on the colony world. Matt Sullivan taught them about Earth, about the war, and about the 3 heroes who had saved them all. He made sure they understood the price that had been paid for their existence. The Zephyrian Council officially declared humans to be the greatest warriors in galactic history. They built a massive monument in the capital city showing the USS Endurance ramming the Reaper command ship. The inscription read, "They fought for 10,000 years so that life could continue." But the greatest memorial was not made of stone. It was Atlas, the ship's artificial intelligence, who had somehow survived the explosion. The Zephyrians found his core processors floating in space and rebuilt him on the colony. World.Atlas became the keeper of human memory. He told stories to the children about Earth, about the Great Purge, and about the crew who never gave up. His mechanical voice carried the weight of 10 millennia as he spoke of courage and sacrifice. Captain Harrison always said that humans were not the strongest species or the smartest species. Atlas would tell the young humans, but we were the most stubborn. We refused to quit even when quitting made sense. 20 years after the colony was founded, the first human adults stood before the memorial wall. They read the names of everyone who had died in the Great Purge. Billions of names covered the wall, representing every human who had ever lived. At the very top were 3 names in golden letters: Captain Jake Harrison, Engineer Amy Rodriguez, and Weapons Specialist Matt Sullivan. Below their names were the words, "The Last Guardians of Humanity." Young Hope, now a woman, placed flowers at the base of the wall. "We will remember," she promised. The colony grew stronger each year. Humans and Zephyrians worked together to build a civilization that honored both species. Human children played with young Zephyrians in parks filled with earth flowers. The 2 species learned from each other, creating something new and beautiful. Matt Sullivan lived to see the colony's 50th anniversary. He died peacefully in his sleep, surrounded by the children and grandchildren he had helped raise. His last words were a message for Atlas to deliver to future generations. "Tell them," he whispered, "that humanity never died. It just took a long journey through the darkness to find the light again." Commander Zelthar, now an old man himself, spoke at Matt's funeral. "The humans taught us that survival is not about being the strongest or the fastest. It is about never giving up hope, even when hope seems impossible." Atlas stood guard over the growing colony, his sensors always watching for threats. But the Reaper fleets never came. Without their command ships, they had scattered across the galaxy, broken and purposeless. The USS Endurance was gone, but its mission was complete. Humanity had been reborn. Earth's legacy lived on in a new world under alien stars. And somewhere, in the vast galaxy, other species looked up at the night sky and whispered stories about the humans who fought for 10,000 years to save all life. The war was over. Life had won. Hope stood on a hill overlooking the city, her own children playing at her feet. In the distance, she could see Zephyrian ships bringing supplies and new colonists. The future stretched ahead, bright with possibility. "Thank you," she said to the stars, knowing that somewhere in the vastness of space, three old warriors had finally found their rest.